Hi, I'm Mike Hughes of Refined Savages. We have a new company out, Refined Savages, sister company to Next Level Training, maker, designer of the CERT training pistol. We are introducing new products related less from training, but more into actual products of use with live fire tools and survival. Got a neat thing for you today. We're going to talk about diminished light and low light shooting. We at Refined Savages, with Britt Lance, Gary Drake, some other good buds, we do not like some of the solutions, some of the current technology in the area of diminished light, of weapons mounted light for low light shooting. What we have in low light shooting, we have traditional weapon mounted lights. And this is a very high end one, all right, from a good name brand manufacturer, top of the line, I would say. But here's some issues we have. First off, you just got to get a holster that fits with this. So if you're concealed carry, it's a little bit difficult. Now, if you have open carry, there's a lot of Safari Land solutions with level 3 and what have you. But when you go to concealed carry and you always got maybe a drawer full of holsters, but that one that really works for you, it's pretty frustrating to get a light and then you have to get a whole nother holster and what have you. It's just a very practical consideration. Another issue with a lot of the lights is, well, first off, a lot of them just kind of gets more and more lumens, all right, where that kind of gets a little bit crazy if anyone has used some of the higher powered ones. But the illumination is always a very small cone, and the illumination is generally always lined up right where the muzzle is. And we all know the safety rules, only point at what you're willing to destroy, what have you, right? So, 99% of what we are searching, we don't want to destroy, right, by definition. So, but yet the technology forces us to align the muzzle in also a very narrow area of search. So that's just something that's just really bothered us every time we did some low light training. Now, if you go off body training, you have more capabilities as far as searching and separating the light, but they're generally, most flashlights are a little bit narrow in scope, as far as searching. Some are adjustable, but then you're always single hand shooting and such. And I don't care what you say, man, you're never as good just with single hand as far as recoil and as compared to just, good old freestyle shooting where we train and shoot the best. Obviously, there's some really good lights too. The Surefire 1000 lumen is a great one to have on you, but still has some of the issues with just, as I mentioned before. Okay, so the thought is like, okay, what do we do? How do we deal with this situation here? What are we going to do? We have the rail here. Obviously, this one's done up with the optics and everything. What's a solution so we can address all these issues I mentioned? And what we came up with is like, well, let's play with putting a light on the magazine. And our first reaction is that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Like you drop the magazine, it's going to break, and you got extra mag. So obviously it was something that we rejected at first, right? Just whiteboarding ideas. But then we started playing with things and really making some prototypes, and we really were shocked with just the results that naturally illuminated. Let me tell you some features on it. So it's a mag base plate light. So you have a magazine. This is an empty magazine, and I got, obviously, I already checked it off camera, but a clear gun. Just as you can replace any base plate, that's what you do. You replace the base plate with a mag base plate light. It has momentary on, it has a nice big dumb switch right here. Nice, fairly easy access to the battery. Not super easy, but a good stout mounting, so it's going to stay on there. And if you take note, the light is actually pointed downward, all right? It's pointed just a little bit downward, and let me demonstrate why we have that orientation right now. Okay, so I am going to kill the lights here, and I'm gonna go ahead and turn on my torch. All right, now notice right away that I have a nice broad illumination, okay? Like from all the way over from left to right is a very, very broad scope for searching. Also, what you can note is that with this downward orientation, there's a natural tendency to have this compressed high ready muzzle orientation, because anyone with any modest amount of training, and we've got to be realistic as far as gun owners and purchasers and what have you, but if anyone has a little bit of training, basically when they come back here, their finger gets off the trigger, all right? But look at the search area. There's also a little bit of a hot spot, just a little bit of a hot spot in the middle, more conducive to have the shooter align it in this upper, because I'm not muzzling where I'm searching. Like even right now in the camera and my lovely wife right here, okay, I'm not muzzling her. I got this high ready position. You're closer, stronger. I just think it's a superior way to search. And obviously there's Sewell and other things like that, but if you adopt a high ready, if you adopt this position for searching, you're gonna absolutely love this technology. Because then when you present out, you still have illumination where the muzzle is aligned. All right, so let's just compare and contrast this with those technologies. So go ahead and kill that light. So this is probably one of the top of the line. This is actually a really good light. It's good. This is 300 lumens, so it is a little bit brighter, but what we find is we don't need it to be that bright. Our specs are just to be about 20 yards. But right now, as I extend out, I mean, my illumination is so narrow, so much more narrower. You know, you almost get this psychological sense of insecurity, like what's over here and here. And also I'm muzzling every damn thing. So muzzling everything. So what you can see here is this with the normal devices that they're generally their field is narrower, and we're always pointing the muzzle right at where we're searching, violating some of the rules. Now I know different instructors have to kind of deal with that, but we're just really looking at changing the paradigm quite a bit. So you just don't have to do that. Okay, now let's talk about some of the issues you may be thinking, like as we did, like as far as the process, like what about dropping the mags? What about carrying an extra mag? Like how do you contend this? What's best practices? Is this really thought through? Well, we've been at this for about 18 months, all right, literally, like designing and changing, like tweaking it like along the way. And here's what we find. First off, you generally don't quick draw for low light because you don't know what's there, but you draw, lights on, compress eye ready, okay? Let's say that you actually have a malfunction or you do expend all your rounds or what have you. Let's first talk about just, mag retention, reload, tack reload, whatever you want to call it. You can see right here, I got a nice extra magazine. I'll talk about this system real quick, which is, because this really consists of a safety pin. So I can pull out, kind of make my rabbit ears, all right? Now I do have a light and I have another light, all right? Depending on how you want to work this, all right? Now we're in the realm of tactics and what do you want to do and all this. You can turn this off, be intermittent, you can retain this, you can drop it, right? I mean, that's a whole nother space of discussion, which I'm not gonna get into any internet battles on that right now. But point being is that you do have that second light, so like 2 magazines, all right? And here's what we love about this. Are you carrying a magazine? Are you carrying a light right now, or are you carrying an extra magazine right now? Just to be honest, to self-assess, all right? As far as your everyday carry. If you do and you're all set up, good on you. But we just find a lot of people, they say, I should, but I don't, depending on the tire and what have you, okay? This is very, very conducive to carrying a light and carrying your extra magazine. And here's why it's so helpful or psychologically conducive to carry an extra magazine. This extra magazine is extraordinarily handy just for practical everyday use. One solution, for many problems, which is what we love, right? So you can pull this out. It's kind of like a Vietnam era, tunnel rat type, design here. You can do intermittent, or you can just turn it on. But it's great. Like you got to open the gate, your lock to your back gate or whatever. I mean, it's a great practical tool just to have on you, right? You have an hour of life on there, and it's plenty bright enough, but not too bright. So you have that, and then this is what's really, really cool. Look how discreet it is to carry an extra magazine. I'm really kind of taking some concepts here from my good friend, Neil Rogers, Christina's a Snag Mag, as far as having this access. I love this profile. I love how this works. Even if the shirt doesn't cover it, okay? This is just a real nice way to carry a magazine. One thing I've done here, I just put a simple, silly little safety pin on the inside here, and I got a great pocket holster, so I don't have to deal with having an extra stuff on my belt line or anything like that. I don't need a light, I don't need a mag pouch or like that. But I'm just kind of going into my preferences on this. Obviously, you want to vet it out and figure out the best practices for yourself. But regarding changes, all right, I talked about attack reload, retention reload, but I mean just the basics of speed reload. I mean, there you have it, right? I mean, you got the extra magazine. You can drop these. I don't recommend you dropping them a lot, but the endurance on these are unbelievable. We found they've well exceeded our drop test expectations. Another consideration with concealed carry in your light and how much kit you carry and what have you is printing. Concealed carries obviously should be concealed, and we want it to work with a wide variety of garments. let me show you something really slick here in our design process. So I don't have just a regular magazine, but you can imagine this is obviously the edge of the pistol here. The magazine will be square and cut off. And I don't just like how this naturally prints right here. And this is a fairly baggy shirt, okay? Not super thick, but it's something I would naturally wear. But watch this, check this out. Now with these rounded edges, all right, I put in there, and all of a sudden it just doesn't print. It extends out a little bit longer, right? But it's almost like the opposite of the stealth bomber with rounded edges versus those square, radar deflecting edges. So it just takes the fabric and it just moves it along. And this is a fairly big package too, right? With the optic and everything, but it works. Like, it just doesn't print. And then with your other magazine, I just would suggest, if you carry a Glock 19, carry a Glock 17 mag because you get extra rounds, and it's just an easy way to carry that extra magazine. All right, if you don't do that anyhow with this or without this technology. So right now we do only have this for the Glocks. Okay, so with other platforms right now, sorry about that, but please give us feedback of what you'd like, and we'll try to hustle and allocate resources to get tooling up to meet your needs for other platforms. Well, that is the Torch, the Refined Savage Torch. I really am excited about this. This is something that, quite frankly, Britt Lance and I, we made for ourselves, and we figured, well, look, if we're gonna do this for ourselves, why don't we drop an extra few, a good chunk of money just to get the tooling and such and engineer it so we can, bring it to everyone else. Look forward to some comments on this. I think you may understand the value proposition, and it may not be for you. I just want to reiterate that. Hey, look, if you're already set up with your system with a holster and like an extra light and extra magazine, and you got all your everyday carry and you're really consistent with it, awesome, good on you, that's great. But for the rest of us, and then for my sampling, I'd say a good majority, I think that we need some other solutions. And although, like, these aren't mutually exclusive either, okay? Because one is none and two is one, as they say. So refinedsavages.com. Look for that. We got some other products too. I won't introduce right now, but look for the Torch, because I'm really excited to get this out to the shooting community.